And indeed, as Alec mentioned, I did for a time work for the city of Edmonton. It was a relatively brief time. I started in February of 2015 as a communications officer in LRT Design and Construction. About the same time that I put my name up for nomination to be the candidate for the Alberta MVP at Edmonton Centre. And well, I guess you can see which one out. But it's a pleasure to be here on behalf of Premier Rachel Donnelly, all of my colleagues from the government of Alberta on the traditional territory of Treaty 6, to have the opportunity to talk to you a bit today about, I guess, some of my perspectives on downtown development, and in particular, how that development has progressed from the community level. How many of you, when you were young, had Lego? Pretty ubiquitous, right? I remember Lego. When I was young, it was one of my favorite toys. I could lose myself for hours just building and creating Legos spread out all around me on the bedroom floor. Very handy for parents to step on, that sort of thing. I remember the incredible joy I had when I'd open a new box of Lego at Christmas. That's what I always asked for. In fact, in particular, I remember when Space Lego first came out on the market. That was great. It had all the little rocket pieces, the little translucent blue cockpits. It's fantastic, because it gave me a whole new set of pieces to work with. Because the thing is, I would only ever really follow the instructions once, right? Because you know how that works with Lego. You open it up, and you've got the big sheet of paper, you fold it out, tells you step by step how to build the thing. So I'd always do that once, and then keep it around for a couple days to show I could do it. And then it was time to take it apart and see what else I could do to try to cannibalize those parts, because I found the best part of Lego was seeing what I could make for myself. I love looking at the challenge of just looking at the pieces, figuring out how I could use them to make something new. In fact, I remember once I took my Lego, a little motor that I cannibalized from a mechanical set, and a battery pack from a robot construction kit, and I put it all together and I built an airboat. Actually tested it out in the bathtub and it actually worked. It was great. Now, about the same time in my life, I started taking piano lessons. How many of you ever took piano lessons? How many of you kept taking piano lessons? Fair enough. Well, I took piano lessons. I learned simple songs at first, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Fair Jacques, and stuff like that. I eventually learned scales, chords, arpeggios, and I studied classical through Royal Conservatory. I didn't particularly enjoy it. I don't know many kids that do. But unlike my sisters, they all quit. I kept going. I'm not quite sure why. It wasn't because I enjoyed it. Maybe I was just that easygoing a kid, not quite as tough as my sisters in asserting what I wanted, but I did keep going. But eventually, when I got to 13 years old, I had a teacher who sort of assessed my classical music skills and said to my parents, maybe I should teach him something new. So that was Mrs. Miller. Mrs. Miller decided she was going to teach me how to play by ear. And that, again, opened up a whole new world for me. Because just like with the Lego, I realized there was a whole realm of possibilities that were available to me. Beyond the instructions, beyond the notes that were printed on the page, I could take all those pieces of notes and rhythm, all the theory and technique that I'd learned, and I could start to use them to build things out of my own imagination. I was only limited by my own vision. So in time, I began to develop an instinct that helped me develop sort of a sixth sense for how to figure these things out, how to play by ear, how to develop that naturally, and that's how I came to actually love music. Because it's when you have the courage to let go of the notes on the page and indeed make some mistakes, and you learn from those mistakes, you develop your instincts, and suddenly you can find yourself doing more than you ever thought you could. And so that was really handy for me when I went on to study music at Graham McEwen, as was mentioned. I do have a diploma in piano performance, because McEwen teaches jazz. And I remember going in there and with a bunch of other classmates, and our music teacher, our music prof, handed out our first piece of music to learn, and it was just a melody line and some chords. And I remember a bunch of my classmates who'd only studied classical music kind of looking at it, and they were very confused because it didn't tell them what to play. They were afraid of doing it wrong, of making mistakes. But to me, it made perfect sense because it gave me the melody, it gave me the chords, and the rest was up to me. So that wasn't a barrier, it was an opportunity. It was a chance to explore and build something myself. And that's a skill that I carried with me as I've gone on through my life, my work as a musician and studio engineer, indeed when I worked as a taxpayer service agent and then a trainer and facilitator with the CRA. When I went back to school to study to become a professional communicator, and I think it's a concept that's really at the core of what we're developing here in the heart of our city, a new and revitalized downtown. I think you all know at least a bit of this story. In fact, there's probably some of you here who know far more about the story of the development downtown than I actually know myself, having worked with the city and in other departments. But a quick summary. So over a course of years, we know that our downtown became an area that was increasingly empty and neglected. Now, I grew up in the north end of Edmonton. I grew up in Clairview, Castle Downs, and then we moved into Clairview back when that was just on the edge of the city, and just sort of right a few blocks from farmland. And we'd come downtown occasionally, mostly to the Army and Navy over on 97th Street. I'm older than I look. I remember we'd come down, sometimes we'd maybe come downtown to see a doctor. I remember going to the Allen Clinic or to a specialist office in one of the towers downtown. But my experience of downtown as a child was mainly that downtown was a place you went through, not to. Now, of course, I was a bit of a bookworm, so I would sometimes take the library, come down to the library downtown, the Stanley A there. We can see the great redevelopment that's happening there. Or me and my friend would sometimes come down and catch a movie at the theater that used to be over here on Jasper, if you guys remember there. It's now the Williams Engineering Building. But aside from that, and the occasional festival on Churchill Square, I didn't really see downtown as a place I wanted to go, certainly not a place I considered living. But then in 2008, I found myself moving just north of downtown in Queen Mary Park, right on 112th Street and 107th Avenue. And around that same time, a number of groups were beginning to look at our downtown core the same way I had learned to look at my Lego or an old jazz stand. They looked at our collection of gravel lots and empty buildings, and they started to see beyond what was to the possibility of what could be. And they began to work to make that happen. So, of course, as many of you probably know, one of those groups is our City Council under Mayor Stephen Mandel. They were responsible for a few things that have led to this new vision of urban Edmonton. First, of course, was supporting a downtown arena. Now, much as I learned in music school, the best way to get a group together, to work together, is to unite them around a strong central theme. And love it or hate it, our downtown arena district provided that focus for interest and investment, a point that we could center around in the downtown core to start bringing that investment back. Mr. Jim Taylor, a former city councilor who had gone on to become the executive director of the Downtown Business Association, added his voice and began to advocate for the same. And I had the pleasure of working with Jim in his role with the DBA on the Downtown Revitalization Task Force until his recent retirement. It was a long process, but by 2011 we had the deal starting to come together. And in early 2013 the deal was done. We had construction beginning the next spring. And I got to watch that happen. And by that point, I had taken my job at Canada Place with the Canada Revenue Agency, so I was biking through downtown every day, biking past that construction, and started to see it develop. So this capitalized on work that had been done by previous councils to get more people living downtown. In the 1997 downtown plan, they offered an incentive of $4,500 per door for the first 1,000 rental units built along 104th Street. And at the same time, they invested $3.1 million in streetscaping, adding wider sidewalks, benches, lampposts, trees, and they completed that in 1999. So and then they also closed down the Cecil Hotel on Jasper Avenue, 104th, and that led to that revitalization that started along that street there. We saw developers begin to come on board, and they lit the first sparks of new residential growth in our downtown. Then in 2009, MacEwan University's Board of Governors approved a plan to move all of their operations that were then spread across 4 campuses around the city into the downtown core. In April 2011, it was announced that the new Royal Alberta Museum would be built on the former site of the downtown post office, and now we're going to see that open later this year. So momentum was building. More and more people were beginning to see what could be possible downtown, and at the same time, a new generation of leaders were starting to get involved. So just west of downtown, we had a group of young professionals who came together with a commitment to changing the perception of their neighborhood. They were tired of being dismissed as only renters, with the assumption that came with that they had no investment in their community. So they began to join and get involved on the board of the Oliver Community League. And over time, they transformed that community league board, into an active force for positive growth and community development. They became actively engaged with the city on discussions about design and development, bringing a vision of more walkable, accessible, and attractive neighborhoods in the downtown core, and advocating for those communities, as I said, as a place to live in, not just to pass through. And alongside them has been the Downtown Edmonton Community League. DECLA was a key voice at the community discussion table with the arena development, and particularly in negotiating the building of Alex Dakota Park over on the site of a former gravel parking lot on 105th Street and 103rd Ave. And I was very happy just a couple weeks ago to be able to attend the official opening of that park, a fantastic addition to our downtown core. So both the OCL and DECLA have put efforts into providing very informed and data-driven perspectives on ongoing developments. They've been very great participants in city discussions and continue to be driving forces for vibrancy in the core. And in fact, that's how I initially got involved in the local community and eventually actually ended up running for office, and so I find myself standing here today. So as I mentioned, I'm a cycle commuter. So when the city had the 102nd Avenue bike lane plan, but no funding committed to build it, I joined with other advocates in the community, including the Oliver Community League on the Edmonton Bike Coalition. We were able to lobby City Hall, do a bit of a social media campaign, and convince them to put that funding in the budget. That was the opportunity I had to really start getting involved in my community, because I'd started to get to see downtown as a cyclist. Because I'll tell you, it's interesting, when you walk through an area, or you bike through an area, as opposed to just driving through an area, you have a different experience of it. You see it differently. You feel it more. You get to know it. And downtown, it started to grow on me. I like to be downtown. I like being close to services. I like being close to all the activities. And I was excited by all this new growth that I was seeing. And so being able to tap into some folks who were involved in the community and involved in that advocacy, that got me excited even more. So when I had the opportunity, I decided that, well, okay, I'll put my name on the ballot. I like my community, so this will be a small run, and then maybe someday I'll take a bigger run and have a chance at the seat. Things happen a little differently. But I really appreciate the opportunity I have now to continue to work with these folks. And so other great things have happened as a result. There's a lot of partners that have come together around really viewing downtown as a community, as a place that's living and vibrant, where people are, and creating a space then where those people want to be, and then I think that spreads out and that makes it a place that other people want to come to. Things like groups like Stantec, for example, has been a fantastic partner here in the downtown core. I have the honor of sitting on the Downtown Revitalization Task Force with Keith Chillington from Stantec. And they've been a great partner in all of this as well. Of course, they're building Stantec Tower over as part of the Arena District and bringing that in. But they also invested in the community, recognizing that downtown is a place where people want to be able to experience things outside of a car. So they were chief advocates in helping bring about the new downtown bike grid that has come to the downtown core. They provided the report on that grid and the study that enabled it to the city free of charge, and then worked with the city to help see that implemented. And I'm very grateful to City Council for having made that investment to make that happen. That's business investment in community downtown. We've seen that in some other ways as well. We saw the revitalization of the Mercer Block, the Mercer Building, which has been a fantastic addition at the end of 104th Street. The revitalization of the Alberta Block, the old CKUA building, which now has an amazing co-working space that was put in there by a group called Homestead. Again, creating more community, more places for people to be, to connect together, to be part of together within the downtown core. So it's great to see this development and that happening, but another part of my work, because frankly a lot of the stuff I've talked about so far is with the city of Edmonton. I've been very happy to champion and to cheer all the good stuff, but not a lot of it has involved the province of Alberta. But there's the other side of the coin, and that being the social challenges that we face downtown. And that's something I had certainly seen as a resident of Queen Mary Park, as I biked through the downtown core, and as this was my community, I saw the challenges we faced in terms of homelessness. People struggling from mental illness, folks struggling with substance use. I recognized that those were problems, and so when I was elected, one of the first things we did during that first initial 6 months is we made an effort to get out and connect with every social agency that was in and around the downtown core, to get a sense of what things were like on the ground, to get a sense of what the challenges were, and get a sense of what we needed to do to address them. Because I think with all the growth, all the new development downtown, that's fantastic, but we have to make sure that that growth, that development, that new vibrancy isn't leaving anybody out. We have a golden opportunity here to address, I think, some issues that have been long-standing in our city. And we don't want to just push them out of the core, we want to work towards a solution. So I had the opportunity to meet with the folks from AMSIS, who were working to bring safe injection, safe consumption sites here to our city. I had the chance to meet with them. I had the chance to bring them in to meet with the Deputy Minister of Health. And over the course of the last year, to continue to see that work grow to the point now where we've provided them the funding through the public engagement. That application is now with the federal government, and it's entirely possible that we can see those sites up and operating soon. And I truly believe those are going to help bring additional safety and vibrancy to our community by providing a safe place where we can take the folks that have these challenges off of the streets, bring them into a place where they're able to get their needs addressed with dignity, and connect them with other social services, and build relationships with them that are going to help us to lead them out of poverty, help them to deal with their physical health challenges, and help move them to a better place. Continue to work with the Minister of Community and Social Services, the Minister of Infrastructure, and the Minister of Seniors and Housing to address issues of homelessness here in the city. Homeward Trust has been doing some fantastic work. I've been very happy to work with them as we've seen some changes that have happened with the McDonald Lofts, for example, with the folks that are being moved out of there now that area is going to be built up again by the Cates Group as part of the arena development. And I've been very happy that we as a province have been able to support in ensuring that those folks are safely housed and provided with new safe places to live. And continuing to invest in supportive housing, which is incredibly important. Housing where people who are dealing with substance use challenges are able to live in dignity, are able to use safely, and are able to be protected and again build those relationships that are going to help bring them to a better place. I've been very happy to be able to work with the Stewardship Roundtable for End Poverty Edmonton, doing some fantastic work. This is an initiative that's been going on with the City of Edmonton for some time and now has become an independent initiative. And we're going to be continuing to do some of that work to be able to lift folks out of poverty. Their goal is to end poverty within a generation. And that's important to many people, I think, who live within the downtown core. And it's going to be an increasingly important part of continuing to develop. I was also very happy to be able to sit down with the Minister of Infrastructure, with Mayor Iveson and Minister Sabir from Community and Social Services earlier to talk about putting together a downtown wellness plan. There have been many social agencies that have been amazing partners and looking after folks in need within the downtown core. But in many ways, we haven't had good coordination, and I think in many respects because some previous governments walked away from that table and ceded it over to individual agencies to look after the issues. We've reached a point now where we're coming around, and again, just like the Lego, all the pieces, we have to look at all the pieces we have on the table and say, what can we build together? How can we use the skills and the expertise, the knowledge that has been built by these folks who have been dealing with these problems on the front lines, come together and collaborate to build the downtown that we want to see. Because ultimately, our downtown is what we choose to make it. And in many ways, it's only really bounded by what we're willing to envision. And that's what I'm excited to see in this new vision of downtown Edmonton. That we've had a city council that has been willing to be forward-thinking, to envision new possibilities. That we have these young leaders who are coming up in our local communities, in the community leagues and other places, who are bringing new ideas to the table, who are looking for new ways for us to build this space into somewhere that's not only incredible to live, but also incredible to visit. A place that's going to be vibrant, that's going to allow new businesses to grow. We have the opportunity, of course, to learn from other jurisdictions. We don't always get it right the first time. We make a few mistakes here and there. But we have the opportunity to continue to learn, to study, to look at what we can do, what we can bring to Edmonton, to continue to ensure that our downtown here in our city can be the heart of a new Edmonton. A city that's prepared for new growth, for new strength, and a truly modern urban future. I'm excited for the opportunity that I have to continue to collaborate with all the partners that are involved in this growth. I'm looking forward to the new city council is going to be coming in, and the opportunity to continue to work with them to see that vision become a reality. So thank you so much for the opportunity to come and join you today. Wish you all a great afternoon.